Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
The truth shall set you free.
You can't handle the truth.
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
That's not how the Force works. Oh, really? You're cold?
I'm gonna make him an offer again.
I'd buy that for $1.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
Hasta la vista, baby.
I don't have friends. I got family.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
I can do this all day.
Yeah, I know.
Hello and welcome to the Creative Control Movie Podcast. This is episode 21. I'm your host, Ken Ackler, and thank you very much for joining us, where today we're talking about the future of the MCU, and in specifically the three unannounced, well, the three scheduled movies, but haven't been officially announced what they are for 2023. And we're going to discuss what movies we'd like to see fill those three spots. Joining me today from the Creative Control team, we have Neil and Sasha. How you doing, gentlemen?
Very well, very well.
All good.
Good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the slate of what is already in, okay, give us a reminder of what we're to expect. So we've actually got three Marvel movies coming out in 2021. So September, we've got Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings. In November, we've got Eternals. And in December, we've got Spider-Man No Way Home. Then for 2022, we have actually four movies scheduled. So in March, we have Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which is going to be crazy considering where Loki has just left off. In May, we've got Thor, Love and Thunder. In July, we've got Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. And November 2022, we've got The Marvels, which is pretty much going to be a spin-off of Miss Marvel, the TV series that's going to be coming out. Then in 2023, we've actually got two movies scheduled so far. In February, we've got Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. And then in May, we've got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. So at the moment, we've got July, October, and November as three dates that the MCU have announced that they're going to be releasing movies, but we don't know what they are. Now, these could tie into the MCU movies as they are, or they could be something that come from the Disney Plus shows. So still, we've got Hawkeye, Miss Marvel, we've got She-Hulk, Moon Knight, Ironheart, Armor Wars, Secret Invasion, and Wakanda as all Disney Plus series. And then also, if you tie in, because maybe this might be part of canon moving forward, we've got Morbius and we've got Venom, Let There Be Carnage. So will the multiverse allow Venom and Carnage or Morbius be a part of the MCU? It's definitely something that Sony's going to want, but are Marvel going to be playing ball with that? So it's all open. So, gentlemen, we've got quite a few movies from Marvel which have potentially in the works, but well, are in the works, we don't know. So potentially of these three spots, we could have either Fantastic Four or Blade, because obviously these are two movies which have been announced, but nothing's scheduled in yet. And potentially something else that might come from this, considering we've just had pretty much his first appearance in the MCU, which is Deadpool, where he's done the review for Free Guy with Korg. You can say it's his MCU debut. They are working on a Deadpool 3 movie as well. So we could be looking at potentially those three movies. What are your thoughts on what these movies could be? Blade, Fantastic Four, Deadpool, or do you want to see something completely different fill those spots?
I know what I want for one of those spots.
Go on.
Howard the Duck.
I think he might be getting a what if. I think did I remember seeing?
He has to get a what if.
I think I remember seeing him in the what if trailer. I can't. Maybe I'm kidding.
He's in the what if trailer,
right?
Has any of us actually seen that movie?
Yeah, I own it.
Yeah.
Where was it in there?
I've actually never seen that movie.
What, Howard the Duck?
I've never seen Howard the Duck. No, never.
Wow.
Never.
Okay.
Never seen it. Never seen
I
it.
saw that movie.
Is it good?
Movie long before.
No.
Long before.
Is it really that bad?
No. It's, you know what? It's like He-Man, like Masters of the
Right.
Universe,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
If you try and take it seriously and try and take it from the point of view of like what it's supposed to be, it is terrible. If you just take it as a movie and enjoy it, or you take it as a movie and watch it, you're like, yeah, I'm down.
See, out of all the Marvel properties, I am shocked that George Lucas picked Howard the Duck to make.
Probably the cheapest. So
Yeah,
at the time.
probably. I'm like really, really shocked, man. But like, yeah.
So do you see a Fantastic Four movie coming by 2023, or do you think that's going to be later?
No, I think in one of those 3 films will be a Fantastic Four.
It's got to be, considering they've announced the director for it. I think.
Well, it better be. It better be. It better be one of them 3 films.
And if you want to know our thoughts on the Fantastic Four movie, go check out one of our earlier podcasts, because we tell you how they should enter him into the MCU and who they should cast. But yeah, I would have thought potentially rounding out the year, maybe the November one might be the Fantastic Four movie. I could see that happening. It's right for the reboot. It's right for the characters to come into the MCU. Obviously there's no time before that to get them in. However, wouldn't be surprised if we see certain characters pop up in other movies. Or do you think that they're going to go for a fresh, here's Fantastic Four, we're going to introduce them all in their own movie?
Technically, I think it would be how I think it would be logical to introduce the characters, maybe not as, like Mr. Fantastic, Invisible Woman, that, but say,
as Reed Richards, as Sue Storm,
or Johnny Storm, whatever, in probably other movies, but you do it in the same year that the Fantastic Four is coming out.
Right. Okay.
Right. Well, and this is great hoping, and I'm absolutely positively 100% sure this is not going to be the case. But I would have put the Fantastic Four as like the of those 3 dates, I'd have made it the middle date.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Right. Because what I would have had at the end date, Secret Wars. Right. Because the thing is, right now we're dealing with multiverses, and we're dealing with like multiple, like we have so many kind of new characters in that I think what really needs to happen is you need to do something that elevates the characters everybody already knows and likes and is familiar with, and at something at the same time that introduces you to new characters that you don't know with, so that when their movie pops up, you're like, oh, okay. It's the best way I could phrase it would be like, think of the way that they kind of introduced more Hawkeye to the MCU.
Yeah.
But without him turning bad.
Yeah.
Without him getting the mind control thing. Because I think just thinking of Secret Wars, because and if Marvel and Sony continue to play ball with one another, it'd be a great way to get
Black Suit Spider-Man.
Involved.
Yeah, no, I agree. I actually think one of those 2023 movies will be a Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, I think so too.
If you think about this movie, this has been delayed, right? So we should have already had Spider-Man by now. It should have already been released. It should have already been out there, but COVID's delayed it. And that's another 2 years now until that film, for a new Spider-Man. I could definitely see that happening. I think maybe they just don't want to announce it before this Spider-Man comes out. But I'd imagine maybe 2 weeks after this movie comes out, they'll announce the next Spider-Man. I could see that happening. And just because what they don't want to do is, oh yeah, this person's going to come back and all these stars are coming back, because maybe some of them are, maybe some of them aren't. So that may be a part playing into it. So I could see one of those, maybe even the July one, as being a Spider-Man release.
See, it's funny when you say that about not announcing other movies prior to. I think it also, for me personally, I think it lessens the stakes.
Yeah, exactly that.
Because it's like, not to say that, the MCU is going to be like, Peter Parker, boom. Like, no, they're not going to do that. But it is a thing of, when there's another film coming out with that character in it, it lessens the stakes, because you're not watching it with the same kind of, are you going to make it through? Is everything going to be okay? Are you going to survive? Is every character going to make it?
Yeah.
you know, once you know there's another film, you kind of expect everything to go through. I mean, to be honest, Marvel actually executed that perfectly with Infinity War and Endgame, because one, they had so many characters, but two, it's like when you see characters die, it's shocking, but there's so many characters left that you're like, I really need to see what happens now.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you don't get that if it's just like, oh, here's going to be the third MCU Spider-Man film.
Yeah.
And by the way, there's going to be a fourth MCU Spider-Man film. Now you're just like, yeah, Peter's fine.
Yeah, exactly. But what about Deadpool then, Sasha? How do you think Deadpool's going to fit into the MCU?
Well, I'm not too sure, to be quite honest. I mean, when we left Deadpool, he was already fixing up timelines, so maybe they might.
That's a really good point.
He was literally fixing the Fox timeline of X-Men. So I don't know. This is why I've always been like, maybe they will use the Fox men, because Deadpool's fixing it anyway. Maybe he could throw out fucking Dark Phoenix and Apocalypse and start from fucking Days of Future Past, because that to me would be the best jump up point, because you could recast those new X-Men and shit and do, you know, set in the 80s and have it be its own thing. I don't think that's going to happen, but you know, maybe, who knows with all this multiverse stuff. But where does Deadpool fit? I think one of those movies could be a Deadpool, because they haven't announced a release date at all for that yet, as far as I'm aware. I think Secret Wars. You know what? I didn't think Secret Wars, because I thought that was
Secret Wars is going to be a TV series.
Well,
they're two different things.
Yeah, they're two very different things.
Secret Invasion. Sorry, not Secret Wars.
Well, with Secret, because that's Avengers Secret
Wars.
And I think I don't know whether it's too soon to whip out an Avengers just yet, considering all the craziness that's going on in the MCU. But then I could be 1,000% wrong, and that could be exactly where they're going with all of this. And if they did, you have to have Fantastic Four before that even comes out, because if you know the story of Neil, correct me if I'm wrong, because it's been years and years since I've like touched down on this stuff, but what's it, Beyonder's the big bad in Secret Wars, and then Doom takes his powers, isn't it? And then Doom's the big bad. Am I correct? So the way I see it, that Fantastic Four, Doom has to go up with them, get his powers with them, and then maybe cast them away, and something happens to Doom, and then we get the Beyonder. That would be a way to reintroduce Doom into the world in that Avengers film, making him like the new Loki. And then I think that could be really cool. But now that I've like said it, but you know, whether that happens, I don't.
Are we going to get the same kind of Deadpool though that breaks the fourth wall and stuff like that, or is it just, you know, is he going to really be part of the MCU, or is just characters in the MCU going to appear in his movie so there's a connection?
I just don't want Deadpool in the MCU. I'm sorry. I know that people are going to.
I'm actually in agreement with you.
Yeah, I don't, because for one,
you don't want him toned down.
Yeah,
one, you don't want him toned down, but two, I don't want him talking to me at the camera when I'm in a grounded MCU reality of whatever.
Well,
it doesn't make sense to me. And you can't have him not do that, because then it takes away from the character.
Well, no, because when he appears in other people's comics, he always sets in the rules with those comics, if I remember correctly. So it could work so long as he doesn't talk to the audience. I know there's an expectation for that with some people.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be.
But it doesn't. He doesn't have to be. But at the same time, I totally get the concerns, because Deadpool movies need to be 18. They've established that. That's also why I've always had the concern with the reboot of Blade, because those films were very set in a very adult world, and I don't think I can go back. But
no, and what's great about the Deadpool movies is the X-Men characters appeared in that movie, and it doesn't harm that franchise at all.
Yeah,
but it's just, it shows a relevance and a connection. So I'm more than happy with certain characters like Korg, or you know, certain other characters who want to appear in that movie,
Deadpool,
reference to a crossover.
But the other way around,
necessarily want to see him lining up against the Avengers or with the other characters in the MCU timeline or world.
Yeah.
But you see, the thing is, right? the difference with when you mentioned Blade, right, and you said the world that was established, because the Blade that we're getting with Mashallah Ali is a reboot, or it's an MCU Blade,
yeah,
and it's like it's a totally different character almost to in effect. Whereas this is still Deadpool, the same actor, the same everything about him is still that Deadpool, and it's especially when you think of the even though we know it was played for laughs, you look at the end of Deadpool 2, he's jumping through time, he kills himself. He goes back and he kills two different versions of himself. He kills two different versions of himself.
How about this? What if the whole of Deadpool 3 is a time travel adventure with Deadpool, and it's literally adapts Deadpool kills the Marvel universe, but instead of Deadpool kills the Marvel universe, Deadpool kills the Fox universe.
Just wrapping up
wrapping up the whole entire Fox shit.
Well, he's recruited by the TVA.
Yeah.
Now that you know what?
Now you know what? If he had shown up
Thor,
in
a buddy cop movie of Thor and Loki, I would watch. Jumping through
how do we see Blade fitting into the MCU then? Again, we're used to a Blade who is mature, he's killing vampires, blood and all sorts. You know, they can probably get around that with just vampires dusting and stuff like that. But how do we get vampires now into the MCU? Where do we take it from the mythology of, you know, we've had the science, we've had the technology, we've now got, as they refer to it, as like wizards and stuff like that. You know, they talk about Captain and Winter Soldier in terms of is he a wizard or whatever, you know, if they wear a cap or whatever. How do we now bring the fantastical beast element to it in terms of vampires? Are they going to be something that is a result of an experiment, which looks like it might be in Morbius?
They hired Daniel Radcliffe, and shit will go down. No,
but you know what? How do you see that working?
The weird thing is, you know what? If we look at it, there've been so many films and TV shows and comic books and books and everything circulating around vampires. They've been done in so many different ways that, to me, it's fairly easy. You can utilize being a vampire as just simply saying, you know what, it's like a disease, right? You could handle it where it's like a disease, and you know, possibly some people could be cured from it, right?
Like COVID, somebody ate a bat and there you go.
But it's fairly easy to do vampires, I think, because when we look at it, it's just the fact that we know vampires drink blood is where the blood and guts and gore comes into it. Because you look at it especially from Blade 2 onwards, the second you get hit with a stake, you just dust.
Yeah.
You know? So that in itself is somewhat easy to deal with.
And they dealt with it in the Spider-Man cartoon. You have Blade and Morbius.
Yeah.
Draining life energy, plasma, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be blood and guts and gore.
And the thing is, as well, is like, I think obviously touches onto my theory, but I think what it comes into is that when you look at like the darker side of, I know it's technically not MCU, but you think of like Daredevil and Punisher and, you know, Luke Cage and Jessica Jones and that the Netflix MCU, whatever, it's, you can do dark stuff. So I don't think it's out the realms of possibility, but it's just somewhat difficult to have someone as dark as Blade, you know, literally standing next to flipping, I don't know, like Sam Wilson, Captain America. You know, it could work, but it's going to be a tight fit.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, it could be a virus, like you get with zombie movies, right? So you go, the virus goes out, ends up turning people to zombies, and they want to eat brains or whatever. So it can very much be like that. And we know from the different movies that, you know, depending on the threat level event, Avengers, it doesn't always involve the Avengers. So from a local grounded point of view, vampires are kind of small things. So you don't have to involve all these other people.
Yeah, because if they take over a city, then you're like, all right, now everybody needs to be all hands on deck.
Or maybe they're contained, like in the are we talking about the reboot Blade? Maybe they
Yeah.
contains like the first film. Because if you think about it, no, in fact, all the Blade films, the general public don't know about vampires.
No, they don't.
You know, that's the whole thing about Blade. Even if they were to connect the old ones, which they won't do, but like, let's just say if they did, you know, that whole world it's
underground.
It's underground. So, you know, that's how they deal with it. It's just another faction to the MCU. It's like how they deal with WandaVision and magic. Like, that shit exists, but, you know, it has always existed, but it's just not something they've really shown. That's why you bring like a new character to show the audience that world, that what they're dealing with, and and then you have a cameo by, I don't know, Hawkeye or somebody, you know what I mean, just to go, hey, it's the same, it's the same thing. I mean, with Blade, Doctor Strange maybe could be the in, you know. So
yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, so we've spoken about Deadpool, we spoke about Blade, Fantastic Four, Spider-Man. Could we see a Captain America movie?
Well, that's coming.
I mean, yeah, we know it's coming.
Yeah, that's coming. I think it's going to be Anthony Mackie. I think they're going to try that one out.
Yeah,
just to see how the movie resonates with the audience and stuff after Falcon and Winter Soldier. That's definitely been announced already.
So 2 years away. Could one of those slots be filled by Cap?
Yeah,
I think
quite possibly.
Quite possibly, because, you know, it's a character that's established, but at the same time, it's a new variation on the character. So I think because, you know, Marvel do have a solid track record of every single phase has sequels in it.
Yeah.
Go all the way back to phase 1, there was Iron Man 2. And then, you know, phase 2, there was 2 sequels. And then phase 3, there's sequels. You know, every single phase has had a sequel to something.
Would it be too soon for something like a new Avengers movie? Do we think we need to let the other characters play out a bit before we start establishing something new?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I think as well is because right now, when we look at it, for the most part, there is no Avengers team. There is a bunch of people, you know, there are people who will like, okay, worst case scenario, I can call on this one person, or I can call on that one person. But even then, you know,
it's more team ups at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it's little tiny team ups, because if we say, okay, so Steve Rogers is dead, or Steve Rogers is out of action, Tony Stark is out of action. You know, so
Wanda's doing a Wanda thing.
Wanda is essentially out of action. Vision,
Black Widow's dead. Hawkeye training up his daughter.
So it's like, it's not his daughter. It's not his daughter.
Oh, it's not his daughter. Okay.
No. Kate Bishop's not his daughter. But it's like, it's that thing where everyone is literally off doing something different. Whereas, like, you know, in the phases, it was like people were off doing stuff, but you kind of always knew where other people were. You know, it's a fair assumption to say that the events of like Iron Man 3 were taking place whilst Cap was doing, you know, the whole like Winter Soldier bit.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, okay, everybody's got something to do, which is why they're not together. Whereas right now, it's like, no, the world would kind of need the Avengers to be in one place.
Yeah. So what about then maybe a Dark Avengers movie?
I think they're leading up to that. I mentioned that. I threw out my theory.
Well, they need to introduce Storm and Norman first. You know,
well, I mean, that thing is, is it going to be, if it's going to be the Dark Avengers or if it's going to be the Thunderbolts? Because I mentioned, I sent it to Ken.
There is a Thunderbolts reference, isn't there?
Yeah. So okay. So Neil, take us through your theory, because you know I'm on board with this. I agree with it. So
yeah. All right. I think I sent this to you right after watching Black Widow.
Yeah.
It was, I had a theory in regards to what I thought was going down with the MCU. I said so. And this is, if you are up to date on Marvel, great. If you're not up to date on Marvel, like, sorry, bruh. Right?
Yes. Spoilers.
There's gonna be some spoilers in here, so if you ain't up to date, I don't know what to tell you. Now, so after watching Falcon Winter Soldier and Black Widow, I'm pretty sure that that character, I'm just going to call her Val because
it's a long ass name, so Val is fine. Yeah.
So I think she's either putting together the Dark Avengers or the Thunderbolts. The reason I personally thought Dark Avengers was because when I remembered the first time the Dark Avengers were introduced, they were introduced as the Avengers and they wore the Avengers costumes.
Yeah.
And when you look at that, she's already got Cap and
replacement Cap,
and it's a super soldier Cap because he's taken
she's got her own super soldier Cap and she has her own Black Widow. Both of whom are essentially the same as their prior counterparts. Now looking at that, okay, she's got to get her own other characters. She's got to fight. Probably she would be making her own version of the original team. I think that what would most likely be what she would present. So
Hawkeye can obviously present an opportunity for a variant of Hawkeye.
So if you look at the original 6 Avengers, she has a Cap, she has a Black Widow. So she'd need an Iron Man, she'd need a Thor, she'd need a Hulk, and she'd need a Hawkeye. Hulk, Abomination. I would say that's the easiest fit. Abomination.
What about She-Hulk?
Well, I was going to say either Hulk or technically not She-Hulk, or it could have Red Hulk because we have a She-Hulk TV show coming, and how it could possibly be Red Hulk is, for those who don't know, in the comic books, Red Hulk is Thunderbolt Ross, who is now very much established in the MCU. So that could be their Hulk, right? But also, a very easy segue would be just to have Abomination, and because we've seen Abomination in the trailer for Shang-Chi, we know he's still around, we know he's still alive. So there's that. For Iron Man, I thought there's so many different possibilities for Iron Man. One, Justin Hammer is still in jail. He didn't exactly make the greatest suits, but his technology.
So you don't think they're going to do Iron Patriot like Norman Osborn?
Well, no. What I'm saying, right, is you've got, that's one option. Justin Hammer. Another option, there is a TV show called Iron Wars that's on its way. Or Armor Wars, sorry.
Armor Wars,
Armor Wars is the show is about what happens when other people get their hands on Tony Stark's Iron Man technology. So that's another show. Ironheart is another show coming up, right? So that's 2 separate shows that are coming out involving Iron Man technology, Iron Man's armor. So there are multiple different ways to go with that.
I mean, you could even, the fourth option is the fact that Iron Man is so closely linked to Spider-Man. It could be a character who comes out of the Spider-Man movies with that Stark tech as well. So
somebody gets their hands on Edith. Look, if somebody gets their hands on Edith, hey, problems. But also, and with Hawkeye, now this one is a bit far out. It has been reported several times, and I had a really strong kind of indication that the last report was true, that Charlie Cox is reprising his role as Matt Murdock / Daredevil. In both She-Hulk and in Spider-Man. So in Spider-Man, he was going to be Matt Murdock, the lawyer, and in She-Hulk, he was going to be Daredevil in costume. If that is the case, then I'm like, you can pick and choose from that Netflix Defenders world. You've got Bullseye. Bullseye exists. So, I mean, look, you got a guy who can't miss. Just give him a bow and arrow. Dress him up. He's Hawkeye, right? You've got that, and then it gives you a thing to have. Barton, or Clint Barton, who technically is Hawkeye, but also running around in the Ronin colors. He could theoretically just be, I'm Ronin. I'm not Hawkeye anymore.
Who were the Dark Avengers in the comic book again?
In the comic book, you had a dark version of Wolverine, a dark version of Iron Man, dark version of Captain Marvel. Who else was in there? So you had Hawkeye, Captain Marvel,
And we've got Miss Marvel series and Captain Marvel movie, which could produce us a Dark Avenger movie.
Yeah. You had Venom in there as well.
Mm.
So you had Ares, Bullseye, Moonstone, Ragnarok, Sentry, Venom, Yelena. So yeah, so there's been a few different members of the team.
There you go. You said
Norman Osborn.
Yelena. You said Yelena.
Mm-hmm.
We've already established that she's in it.
Yeah, sure.
Very much, very much.
Very much, yeah, Dark Avengers. Which is something I thought they should do ages ago. But, like, yeah, because Secret Wars sounds like an Endgame kind of deal, you know what I mean? Or at least to me anyway, I don't know, but yeah.
Okay. Do you think that might be something that is a movie, or do you see that as being maybe a series, bringing all these characters together as a series?
I think you utilize their coming together as you do it the way so far it's been done, as in just end credit scenes. You just start plucking them up,
which is how the first Avengers were put together.
Yeah, right. So you just pluck them up, and then what I think you do, I mean, personally, what I would probably do is you give it a film. It's not necessarily something that needs, to me, it's not something that needs a TV show, because it's not rocket science. You don't need to explain it. It's, oh, here's the bad version of the Avengers. Here's a dark version of the Avengers. That is easily explained. You just need your 2 hours and 10 minutes of, okay, here's the dramatic irony where you as the audience know they're bad, but the general public of the film world assume they're good. And then, you got Jane Foster, like, we've got three Thor films and four Avengers films where we have Thor as Chris Hemsworth Thor. It's going to be hard to switch that out. You think any character who's being replaced, so to speak, you're going to have people who don't accept them because they are not who they were. So when you look at that, it's like, so once you take that into account, it's like, are you going to accept that? Then it gives the public in the film a reason to not accept those Avengers, but then accept these new Dark Avengers who look like the old Avengers, who act like the old Avengers. They, you put, he's going to be called US Agent, but they gave him a whole parade. They gave, they gave John Watson, or whatever his name was, they gave him his whole parade.
Maybe that's something they could actually use. So, like it's pretty much like the Suicide Squad, isn't it? It's, putting these guys together. But maybe the way they could be introduced, instead of having a big bad foe, maybe they could be put together to take out mutants. And that's how you bring the X-Men in.
There you go.
So, it's like we've got all these people now with other special powers, this, that, and the other. They either join us or you take them out.
Yeah,
the
Sokovia
go mutant hunting.
Still exists. That's the thing. The Sokovia Accord still exists, because if you think of the TV, think of everything MCU that we've had since the Accords were put in place. Take away, obviously, they were in place during Infinity War. They were in place. Yes, it's a prequel movie, but they were in place during Black Widow. They were in place during WandaVision.
Yeah.
Right. Sam Wilson was sanctioned by the US government to do what he was doing as Falcon. He didn't suddenly become unsanctioned. All he did was change from being Falcon to being Captain America.
Yeah.
So everyone is still sanctioned. So the Accords are still in place. But what do you do with what do the Accords mean? I mean, I know I said it in various other Creative Control podcasts, but what do you do with the Accords when the people who now have superpowers aren't vigilantes. They're just regular people who just suddenly can shoot beams out of his eyes or suddenly control people's minds. What do you do with that? Do the Accords still stand?
Mm-hmm. Interesting theories. Yeah. Okay, so if you had to pick 3 to fill those spots, what are they going to be? Sasha, what three are the things you want to see most? Or do you think it's the right time to have at that point?
Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man 4, Spider-Man 5.
No, 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, 4, 5, 6 it would be.
Yeah, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. That too. All the Spider-Mans, just all of it. Just give me more Spider-Man with Tom Holland. I'm in, because Far From Home.
three movies in the same year.
Great.
3 movies in the same year.
But no, 3 movies in the same year. Okay. Spider-Man. No. All right. So honestly, real answer: Spider-Man, Deadpool, and has Fantastic Four got a release date?
Nope. No.
Fantastic Four. There we go. Done.
Cool. And Neil, what would be your 3?
Definitely a Fantastic Four would be one of the 3.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, I'd want a Fantastic Four. I'm still going to say I want a Secret Wars.
Mm-hmm.
And I think because we literally were just speaking about it, I'm going to also say I want a Dark Avengers.
Okay. All right.
So you want 2 Avengers movies?
Yeah. I would say, for me, I would want, I want a Spider-Man 4. I want a Fantastic Four. And I'd probably say a Dark Avengers. I think the Secret War thing, it needs more time.
Actually, I would like to revise my answer. I would like to
okay.
I want a Captain America movie, a Fantastic Four movie, and a Dark Avengers movie.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
cool. All right, that's it for this show. It's gonna be really interesting to see as these movies come out later this year. You know, Shang-Chi, Eternals, Spider-Man, what they're gonna do, how they're gonna.
You know what? I want a Dark Avengers movie.
You want a Dark Avengers movie as well? All right, cool.
Yeah, but I don't want to compromise.
Just get another one in there. Look, Shang-Chi, Eternals, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange is going to change the landscape of the MCU. Loki has shown us like the multiverse is happening now. So it's pretty much anything goes. You know, are the rumors of Spider-Man going to be true? Are we going to see Tobey Maguire? Are we going to see Andrew Garfield? Are we going to see Daredevil reappear? You know, Doctor Strange, you know, who's going to appear in there? You know, what other versions or variants we can start seeing of all these other characters? There's rumors that we were going to get, you know, a different version of Iron Man, you know, like whether they could get a different version of Captain America. People who have been maybe be casting all these roles, maybe, you know, but could we see, for instance, could we see Tony Stark and could we, as in Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, come back in a movie as variants, as alternatives of these characters still alive? And it just gives us hope that we can see more of in the future. We don't know. But let us know your thoughts. Let us know what kind of 3 movies that you'd like to see fill those spots, what you see the future of the MCU to be. If you want to tell us your thoughts, tell us whether we're right or wrong. Neil, where can we find you on social media?
You can find me on The Neil Coppin on Instagram.
And Sasha?
Sashman3 on Twitter.
And you can find me at Kenan Talks Film, or if you search Creative Control on Twitter, you can find me there as well. Thank you very much for listening to the episode. You can catch all our episodes on YouTube for the video, or if you would like the audio podcast, you can download our episodes from any major platform that you can find your podcast. Thank you very much for joining me today, guys. Thank you very much for listening. And until next time, peace out.
Peace.